Hi everyone, I'm Harkanwal Singh. I'm going to talk about Marimo notebooks. Anyone used Marimo notebooks before, apart from the people I work with? Just try to. Cool. Anyone used regularly Jupyter notebooks? Cool. This is the crowd I need to convert today. Um, cool. So Marimo notebooks are basically Python-based notebooks, similar to Jupyter. And I want to kind of talk about Marimo notebooks. I'll give a demo. We'll look at the most important data set in New Zealand, which is like how many houses are being built in every suburb, because that's all we care about. And also like why I'm giving this talk as well. Like why is talking about notebooks useful in 2025? Notebooks been around for 10 years. We have used them really poorly over the last decade. There's like so many bad notebooks around and not maintained either. So we've been using Marimo at my workplace for the past year. Most of the data team's using it. And I've tried different tools, and this has been the most fun tool that I've used in a long time. So a bit about me. I work as a principal data engineer at Auror. I've previously worked at Les Mills, Countdown, Westpac. My background is in data journalism. If you don't know what that is, don't worry about it. All of journalism, you don't need to worry about it. But I'm really passionate about exploratory visualizations. That's where my background kind of comes from, where visualizations that can tell a story. I'm not talking about Power BI dashboards. I'm talking about nicer sort of visualizations which lend to more storytelling aspect than dashboard aspect of it. Cool. So Marimo notebooks. This is kind of their pitch on their website, that the future of Python notebooks is here. Can anyone tell me what format Jupyter notebooks are stored in? But like, it's JSON. So why they're making the pitch as Python notebooks is because if you look at the raw Git diff of a Jupyter notebook, it's actually a JSON, and that's why they don't render nicely for Git diffs and such. Hence their pitch as well. I'm just going to show the docs for these guys. So this is kind of their pitch, that what are they trying to replace? Sorry to Snowflake people, but Streamlit's in there as well. The main pitch is reactivity. So I'll kind of talk through what that means. But from a data engineering perspective, the two most interesting things are, firstly, these are stored as Python files, so they're executable. So you can call them like a Python file as well. The second thing, which is really nice, is that they're designed for data. So you can query data frames, warehouses, lakehouses, and you can just write SQL as well, which is a really nice feature as well. So we will look at some of the data sets as well. How many people use like ChatGPT, Cursor, or something with their work? And those who are not admitting to it, use it as well? Okay, one of the reasons that I like this is because they lend nicely to using those kind of tools. And this is for exploratory work. Obviously, you shouldn't handle the whole data frame to it and be like, go and analyze it. You can if you want to run local models, but I'll show you how this would work if you wanted to use it specifically with Cursor, because that's what I use as well. Cool. This is what reactive programming kind of means. Anyone used observable notebooks? One person? That seems about the right size for observable notebooks. Observable notebooks are like, I guess, JavaScript, TypeScript-based notebooks, and they are executable in web. I'm a huge fan. You should definitely check them out if you're just like curious. But there is a principle of reactivity that if I change something in one cell, it should update in others. This is not what Jupyter notebooks do. Jupyter notebooks have a hidden state. Sometimes you will delete the cell and whatever variable was there will still be executing. So this is the most interesting thing from a reactivity perspective. Cool. Why I'm talking about this topic for this audience, having worked at different places, one of the most interesting things is we're really generally bad at how we do exploratory analysis. Like from a data engineering perspective, this is like the first thing everyone does, and everyone I've worked with does it differently. How many people do it, and no shame in admitting it, with Excel spreadsheets? Yeah, or Google Sheets, right? And how many people do it in Snowflake worksheets? Do your Snowflake worksheets have any structure? So like, it's a thing that is very interesting to me is like when I work with different teams, we're all making assumptions about the data, and those assumptions are based on what we know at that point in time. And then the person leaves and the data sets are created and no one knows what those assumptions were. And the next person comes along and they go, I don't know why this happened this way, and new assumptions come in and the cycle kind of continues. Wouldn't it be nice if you turned up at a workplace and you were looking at how the data sets were created and you could walk through the assumptions of how someone got to that point? And that's like an interesting piece of the journey that we don't really, like our tools don't really care about. We just try to get stuff created for the end user. We don't really go through that. Any statisticians here? People from stats backgrounds? This is a quote from John Tukey. It's from 1980. He was the guy who coined the term exploratory data analysis. There's like a book from 1970s as well. He walks through like why pictures matters and why exploratory analysis matters as well. Even for people who don't use spreadsheets, we kind of continue the spreadsheet habits after we go to the next thing. And the reason for that is that like tools really get embedded into our thinking. So like if you're just used to doing something quick, you're going to do that, even if you do it in a worksheet or with Python code. So it's hard to leave the habits behind as well. Cool. I'm going to jump to the demo and then come back to some of this stuff as well. So how do you run a Marimo notebook? Because like that's the fun part, right? You want to try something out. So we're going to jump to cursor here. Did it change? Cool. This demo was working at 5:30. Cool. So, yeah. So generally, like, you have to like set up like for the longest time, I just hated Python because like, who wants to set up a new Python project as well? And like a year or so ago, UV came along and I was like, this is it. This works for me. So if you want to just go home today and you want to try Marimo Notebook and you don't want to set requirements.txt or PyProject or anything, this is the command you've got to execute. So you go uvx Marimo. Can anyone tell me what uvx is? Everyone knows what UV is, right?
It's without pip installing.
Yeah. Doesn't hit you, just run it.
Yeah, UV is a package manager, but UVX is basically calling an executable on the web. So you don't actually have to install it locally on your machine. You can just go UVX. So I don't even have to install Marimo on my machine. I can go UVX edit sandbox watch, and I'm going to do consents local.py. So it's a Python file. The sandbox is like the fun command here. If you run it in a sandbox, it will note all the dependencies at the top of the file. So if you install packages, so you're basically creating a sandboxed version of the Marimo notebook, and you can send it to anyone. They can run the sandbox command. All the dependencies are packaged with the notebook. So you don't have to send a Python project with it. The watch command is basically to work with cursor. So I can talk to cursor and I can write the code there, and the code will refresh in the notebooks. Like for the people most people haven't seen a Marimo notebook, right? So I'm just going to give you a tour of what the Marimo notebooks look like. Cool. So this will start from scratch and install all the packages that are needed. And it will open it in the browser. And this is what a Marimo notebook looks like. So it's got cells in it. So the same concept which exists in Jupyter notebooks as well. I have to go faster. It comes with this nice side panel. Marimo did release an extension for cursor and VS Code, but I would recommend trying out the UI layer because it's really nice and it's got really nice build features. So you can kind of see the folder structure that is there. If I create a new cell by coming here, it gives me the options of creating like a Python cell, a markdown cell, and they introduced this new thing called setup cell as well, which sticks on the top of your notebook because that's where you're installing the packages. I haven't tried it, so I'm not going to go through it. So I'm installing some packages, or I'm importing some packages here, and I'm just going to, the yellow sign basically means that this cell is stale. It hasn't been executed. So I'm just going to run this, and it's going to import those packages as well. I've got some helper functions in here. I'm going to come back to these later. What I did, because this has got like the output from when I last ran it, even though the cells are stale. So I just went to the StatsNZ website, and I downloaded some CSV files to it's the building consents data. And it put it in a folder. Anyone here use DuckDB? 2 people, 3 people. Anyone confused as to why people really like DuckDB? And everyone's like, why are you using it? DuckDB is really cool for like stuff like this. DuckDB is pretty much built into into Marimo notebooks. And what I did in the next helper function is I take the data from the CSV files and I load it into DuckDB. So it's basically 2 tables in there. So when I go here, it'll be nothing there because I haven't connected DuckDB. So I will just run this command, and I get a consents database with raw and tidy layer in there. So the cool thing is I'm working with CSV files. My database is also a file as well. So I don't have to like pay anyone for computer storage. Sorry, Regan. And the advantage of this is when you're doing local data analysis, you get free to explore your data and you can run stuff as well. So the next thing is you can just go and create a SQL cell. And in that SQL cell, I can just put the plus sign here and I say just add table to the notebook. It will create a new cell. And now you will see that this is just SQL as well. You're not writing Python, even though it's part of the Python file. And then when I run it, I just get like a nice table with 100 rows. I'm just going to take this limit 100 away from here, and I'm just going to run this whole data set. And now I've got 1,000,000 rows in there. Yep.
So how is the data stored under the hood? Because when you opened it, it was like a Python file, but then there's separations between the cells and metadata, and there's databases.
I'll show you the structure. So it's a lot of use of Python decorators. So like the raw file is just Python file. Like Marimo's code base uses a lot of it uses an app decorator to define different kinds of cells. But your code remains executable as a Python file as well. That's like an hour-long talk if you want to get into it. It's more fun, but I'll show this after that. So what's happening here is, just to give you a bit of tour of it, it basically goes, the output variable is _df. You can actually go and change the name of the variable here. _df is kind of like a private variable. You can also create charts right here. So we'll get into the charts part because I got 5 minutes left. So what I did next was I just casted it into sort of like a tidy data set, and you will see it's still _df as an output variable because I'm storing it in DuckDB. But then what I did next was I created a list of all the suburbs. So this I stored as a suburbs _df here. So if I run it, there are, this was bound to fail at some stage. Cool. So these are all the suburbs that are here, all of New Zealand suburbs. Then what I did next is I get the max and minimum date from that. And you can see the variables kind of showing up here that you're working with. One of the cool things about this is if you have a pandas data frame, you can write SQL against it. You don't have to do any conversion. It has local DuckDB built into the memory. So you don't even have to convert it into DuckDB, it's using it in the background. And the fun part of this is Marimo has UI elements built into it. So you can create UI elements like drop-down lists. So I created a multi-select element and a date range, and I stacked them over here. We'll come to what split by dwelling type means. So that's it. And then I did a markdown cell, which gives me what values have been selected. And the next thing I did was I created a chart. It uses Altair as the library. You can use any charting library. Altair is nicer because to write code with cursor and stuff. So I created a 12-month rolling window of building consents for Meldale because I live there and they keep building houses. And I keep going, how many are they going to build? And this is what chart for Meldale looks like. So this is all in one Python file, right? I'm not actually doing. Now I go up here and I can hide this code. And so this is show code and this is hide code. You can also like run formatters. And I want to select up to 3 suburbs. So I'm just going to select the neighboring one. And you can kind of see when the development happened there, when the development's happening here. And then I took the same data set and I did like a chart of the breakdown of number of townhouses, apartments. And I wanted to split it by dwelling type or show it as a stream graph. And I just added this toggle here. And it didn't work because I need to press this button. And I just needed to, well, it is split. I need to unsplit it. And it will give me like a stream graph. It looks nicer if you just tinker around with the settings and stuff. So that's a Marimo notebook, basically. Here's the, from a data engineering perspective, here's the fun part. The cells inside Marimo are basically a DAG. So Marimo knows what to execute when something updates. It's also got these buttons at the bottom of like on startup, on cell change, on module change as well. So it's basically an executable Python script which you can just run. And the reason I like it from a data engineering perspective is because I can play around with startup Python code, develop my pipeline over there, share it with my team, or just like take some Python functions and utilize it. You can also import modules from one notebook to the other. Going back to what Marimo notebook actually looks like, so the one that we were looking at, it's a completely wrong project. This is what a Marimo notebook looks like. So that's what the code looks like. So it's at app.cell. It's got a private function. It's got a bunch of options. And at the bottom, it'll be calling main as well and doing app.run. It's kind of elegant from a programming perspective, just how they've done it. They are open source. They did get purchased by taken over by a big cloud provider, but I think the cloud provider just wants to embed them into their stack. Cloudflare uses it and on their as their data service. So Marimo notebooks are like how people do data analysis on Cloudflare as well. Cool, that's pretty much it. Thank you very much.
Does it only support Python language?
Yeah, Python and SQL. Yeah. Which one did you want to use?
I was just thinking like data scientists on our language as well.
Yeah, so for Quarto, the R notebook stuff, there is a Marimo extension for it. I haven't looked at it, but you can use it with Quarto as well. Yeah. Any other questions? Yep.
So one of the pain points with Jupyter Notebooks is like checking it into Git and collaborating and that sort of thing. It seems like Marimo solves some of those problems with just plain code structure and not JSON structure. Are there any pain points that you've run into with the way that Marimo encodes data in terms of other tools that you use or other ways that you productionize the code or anything like that?
So I'm pretty much using it as an exploratory tool right now. I think it's like an investment on your part on how you structure your project. We are using it across multiple teams. Ideally, I would like to get it to a place where we have some utils that we use, which anyone can import and we maintain. So like one of the pain points is like we have multiple databases and you want to run query across multiple regions and combine it into a single data frame. So that works really well because we're using Marimo and it just works. One thing that I forgot to show is that there is a button here and you get all these databases connectors right there. It's also got Iceberg as well. So you can just query directly from Iceberg tables as well. But in terms of the pain points, it is a pretty new sort of like project. So there's like constant development happening. And I feel like I have to keep an eye on what's changing as well. You can deploy Marimo notebooks directly to GitHub pages. I tried deploying while I was on the bus. It worked, but it doesn't execute because something is wrong with my code. But there was a talk that one of the geospatial people, I forget the name, did at Wellington Python meetup. And it's on the web. It's called Look Ma Almost No JavaScript. So you can deploy Marimo notebooks directly to GitHub pages as well. And that I found a bit clunky, like it's not super there. But it uses WebAssembly. It just executes in your browser, and it kind of works well. But that's an area which I feel like is not super developed. If you go and look at the examples and stuff on Marimo, this is where I would take sort of the inspiration for a lot of this stuff. So there are a lot of examples. I didn't show this because we ran out of time, but Marimo lets you make charts right in the. So if I go here and I just click this chart button, and then I go this, it will let me generate a chart here. Here's the fun part. Snowflake lets you generate charts as well, but this actually generates the Python code that you can copy to your notebook, and then you can get on with your life, and you can come back to it. Any other questions? Yep.
You mentioned the interactivity. Could you have two charts that can affect each other?
Yeah.
As well?
Yeah, you can. It's just a bit of work to get them working. But that's the reactivity principle of passing events around. You can definitely make it work. And like the UI elements actually come from the library that's inbuilt as well. One thing that I would like to show you, and I'm going to do this, I'll raise this as a PR at work tomorrow. I just found out about it like while I'm preparing for this talk. So Marimo has like a Claude MD file for people who use Claude. But basically, you can have like a Claude MD file that you can pass to Marimo. I can actually show you the file. It's here. If you use this, these are the best practices from the Marimo team. So I was just giving it as rules to use, and that works well in terms of the things like reactivity and getting it working as well. Cool. Any other questions? Hope this has been fun. Cheers.